Welcome back to the Hotel Orloff here in scenic rural Retreat, Virginia. It's day 3 of the snow. Streets are pretty passable, but it's all right. Let's look at some more comics, and then later on we'll be on the Graphic Man 4-Color Fossils show, which will start at 7 o'clock tonight. When we left off, we were looking at Planet of the Apes comics, as I recall. There's all of these Planet of the Apes magazines or comics I bought off the stands when I was in elementary school. In the back it has an adaptation of Beneath the Planet of the Apes. In the front it has an original story. Here's Planet of the Apes number 10. Number 11. That bullet hole in the guy's forehead. And this is when I think they start the adaptation of Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Develop fearsome defensive power. And they have a different artist and team on Escape. Look, you can get your Class of 75 t-shirt. Here's some people reading Planet of the Apes magazine, obviously on the set of the TV show. Well, my goodness. Look at this panel. This banquet scene. Number 13. Oh my gosh. Not looking too good there. Oh, some more Mike Plug art. That's great. Terror on the Planet of the Apes. Anyway. Yeah, they're out there shoveling snow and making the streets safe. Guess I'll be back to work tomorrow, looks like. So I'll come back on Saturday and do an early morning show and put up a show that'll come up before the comic book memories show, and then during the day Saturday Trump is going to have 2 rallies or appearances in Iowa, and then Sunday he'll have 2. I'll be watching those on Right Side Broadcasting. Here's another great Bob Larkin cover. 1975. Wow. Here's 16. Hear these clicking? That's these little sun-activated head bobbers in the background. If you hear that. Oh, did they just end the little congressional hearing in the other room? I better go. I was recording it. I'll go turn that off. Ow. Just a moment. So anyway, it's Wednesday afternoon. Let me give you an idea of what this weather looks like. Hold on. The streets are starting to look okay. And there's still a few treacherous spots out there, but it'll be all right. Okay, wonderful, whatever. Oh, this is a great cover. This is in this issue they start adapting Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, the 4th movie. Looks like they have Alfredo Alcala doing the adaptation of this one. Yes, indeed. You know, there's a book that's out that reprints all the stories, but apparently that's out of print and is expensive. Man, a lot of work went into illustrating this. But you don't have all the ads, you know, for Kung Fu and Karate, and the next, I don't think it reprints the ads. These didn't used to be really expensive. I've been told that they're going up in price. Number 18. Wow. Just really nice art. If you're a Planet of the Apes fan, you've got to have these magazines. I mean, there's not that many of them. I think we're almost at the end of the run. There's 19. Just have to forgive me. I'm looking through them nostalgically here. Here's 20. Incredible. Okay, what's next? Oh, this next one I have 2 copies of 21. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. If you see it on DVD, they've added a few little bits into it that were cut out when it was released in theaters. It was released as a PG movie, or was it GP? I mean, it was early on in the ratings, probably PG. Originally PG was GP for a little bit. It's probably PG. And then you know, the way that it is on DVD, it's like approaching R rating as far as the gore in the ape revolt in Los Angeles. The movie, it didn't look like that. They didn't, let's see. Then we come to issue 23. I think we're up to about 1976 now. I was in 6th grade, I'm pretty sure, when this one came out. Let's see. Ooh, art by Tom Sutton, replacing Mike Plug. This is, yeah, 1976. August 76. So that's really June of 76 when this would have been on the stands, and this would have been the summer before my 6th grade year. That's really good artwork there. Is this Alcala? It's gotta be. He does a, no, Vicente Alcazar and Sonny Trinidad. They do a really commendable job of recreating Jack Chambers' makeup effects. Some of the other artists drew the apes a little more stylized. Here's 24. This is, you know, that iconic image. I hate using that word. It's the greatest, I tell you. 24, 25. I think we're getting to, this may be the second to last. Is this the first one to have a, no, the last one. Yeah. No, 2. No, they've had it for a while. But right around that time, they started putting these codes on the comics, and I always thought it detracted from a cover's appearance. That's, to me, that code on the front of a comic signaled kind of the end of the wonderful first, 50 years of comics, whatever. That, and when all the ads for Atari 2600 games started to appear in comics, you knew that was pretty much the end. But then we're coming to the end of the run of the Planet of the Apes magazine. By this point, there had been 5 Planet of the Apes movies. There was a TV series that lasted 1 season. There was an animated cartoon series that came on the next year. And by this point, Planet of the Apes was no longer on network. You'd come home from school, and on the 3:30 movie on Channel 8 in the Dallas area, they'd have Ape Week. And it was now, Planet of the Apes is now on local TV, And the Planet of the Apes fad was starting to wane for normal people, but not for us. I mean, Planet of the Apes never left our hearts. How many more? Oh, okay. 2 more issues. This is the second to last issue. Artwork's always wonderful in these magazines, unquestionably. And there's always, like in all these Marvel comic magazines, there's always a text story in the middle, sometimes more than one. One of these Planet of the Apes magazines, there's a really good article that explains the whole timeline of the apes and how the TV show lines up with the movies. Because in the TV show, there were a couple astronauts land that looked like Starsky and Hutch, and there's a Dr. Zaius, and he says that a few years before, another astronaut, he's referring to Charlton Heston. But if you kind of ignore a few things like that, the way it's supposed to be is, okay, so the apes take over in the early 1990s in Los Angeles, and it spreads worldwide, and then they have a revolt because they've been being used as slaves, and then they take over, and the humans are subservient under the apes, and then, a couple thousand years pass, right, and then you wind up with the apes basically about on the level of the ancient Romans, and that's where Charlton Heston lands in the original movie. But it's like, well, how did Battle for the Planet of the Apes, the people still talked, and how did they become savage animals by over the span? And supposedly the TV series kind of like takes place a little bit out, after Battle for the Planet of the Apes, whatever, and before they, the people gradually disintegrated into animalhood or whatever. Okay, this is out of place. This Bizarre Adventures, is this 1980s? Probably. 1981. Is that a Paul Galassi cover? Probably. It's got the Black Widow in it. This needs to be with my other Bizarre Adventures magazines. Different artists threw it out here. We're supposed to get a delivery today, so I'm kind of waiting on that delivery. Oh yeah, here's the Black Widow story. I'd kind of forgotten about this magazine, honestly. The art's very realistic. Who does this art? Oh, Ralph Macchio and Paul Gulacy. Yeah, okay, fantastic. Okay, Marvel Preview. Marvel Preview #1 presents Man Gods from Beyond the Stars. This is, well, if you're around in the 1970s, you know that's when this Eric von Däniken put out this book, Chariots of the Gods, that proposed that the gods that the ancient people on Earth worshipped were actually space aliens, right? And then you'd say, well, gosh, yeah, I saw that on Star Trek where they met Apollo, and he was really someone from outer space. And then, you know, they translate the tablets, the Sumerian tablets, and they say, well, that's, you know, the story of Gilgamesh. And you listen to people on YouTube and Rumble, and you'll hear all kinds of stories about how humans are, you know, that really all the mythology that we have from ancient civilizations, stories of Thor and Odin, you know, from Northern Europe, and the Roman gods, the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods were all basically the same people, different names, or the same race of people, that they were from outer space, and they were, yeah, anyway, a lot of the stories are actually not just, they're more historical stories. That's what the claim is, you know, so I mean, a lot of that going around. Anyway, this is along those lines, you know, on that fad of, you know, see, there's a astronaut appearing to these cavemen. Obviously, it's a Neil Adams drawing, very good. And yes, indeed, yeah. See, Eric von Däniken. You know, that was something that's kind of been forgotten. We remember the shark fad and the disaster movie fad and the streaking and the nostalgia for the 1950s and the nostalgia for the 1930s. What other fads were there in the 70s, man? Skateboarding later in the 70s. There was disco, there was roller skating, all that stuff. But, oh man, I'd forgotten this artist. It's Alex Nino, right? Yeah, they got a lot of Alex Nino art in here. Who are all the artists here? John Romito was the art director. Yeah, so. Oh, it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, it's it's great stuff. But there were so many imitations of Chariots of the Gods and so many sequels, and that stuff is coming back around now. The whole ancient astronaut stuff. People like David Wilcock. There's Ancient Aliens on those, whatever channel that is that has the Ancient Alien stuff. Here's Marvel Preview #2. This one, I think, I don't know. I think this could... It seems like I was looking at these the other day on mycomicshop.com, and this might be like a $150 book. The Punisher. It's, you know, because before the Punisher had been confined to color comics, and this is his first adult foray where you can see the bullets going through somebody, and you know, before he'd been a villain in the Spider-Man comic, and yeah, he really hadn't gotten his own comic series at this point. He got his own comic series in the 80s. This is still, we're still in the 70s here. Oh, there's a wonderful aroma coming from this book. Yes, indeed. So this is the next issue. The first issue dealt with ancient aliens. This one's in pretty good shape. In fact, look, it's almost like these pages are opening for the first time. Like there's a static cling. This is a very good, I mean, the pages aren't completely white, but this is a This is probably $150, $200 book. Of course, I'm not selling it, but well, with my health, you know, just wait a year, wait a couple months, and my wife will probably sell it to you when I'm no longer around. Yeah, it's The Punisher. How about that, sports fans? Shit. I mean, shoot, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't mean to say that. It's just been a long day, man. Long day. Marvel preview. Okay. Next issue is another one that has got some value now. This one isn't in quite as good a shape. It's Blade the Vampire Slayer. Again, another character that was made into an R-rated movie, but until this point, Blade had only been in the color comic Tomb of Dracula. Unless he made an appearance in one of those Dracula Lives comics, that's possible. But to my knowledge, boy, it's really close to Vampirella kind of look. To my knowledge, this is when, you know, in these magazines, you can start doing more like R-rated kind of violence. Yeah. These magazines don't have explicit language, but the violence can and the skimpiness of clothing is more R-rated, or at least PG-13. Because, like, look here, this guy stabbing her, you know, and stuff like that. Yes, Blade, well, you know, everyone was excited about Blade. Marvel was making a Blade movie, but nah, I think people stopped caring because they know that Blade's going to probably turn it over to a teenage girl 3/4 of the way, or 1/4 of the way through the movie. That Blade will not be anywhere like what people had seen before. I mean, because when Blade, the movies came out, the normal people, 98% of the audience went to see Blade didn't know that he was a comic book character, let's face it. And Blade was kind of okay. Blade 2 was great. That was the one that I liked. Yeah, it's a Gray Morrow cover. How about that? Now, what was number 4? I don't know. It might have been another issue of Blade, but this one I bought off the newsstand. This is my childhood copy, Sherlock Holmes, and issue 6 was also Sherlock Holmes. I didn't get the second issue. I was into Sherlock Holmes. DC put out a Sherlock Holmes comic when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and then Marvel put out a Sherlock Holmes. I'm not sure if they had to get the rights to Sherlock Holmes. I mean, now Sherlock Holmes is in the public domain because he. But back then, I'm not sure. In 1975, whether you had to negotiate with Arthur Conan Doyle's estate to get the rights or not. 5. Okay, so 6 was also as Sherlock Holmes. I don't have that issue. Number 7. You used to be able to buy this very cheaply. This is Satana, the devil's daughter, the sister of the son of Satan, who had his own color comic. This is their attempt to give her star billing in a magazine, and she'd been in other magazines before, Vampire Tales and Haunt of Horror, I believe. But now they're trying to, you know, make her full-fledged Vampirella, you know. And if she had gotten her own magazine, maybe she would have become that. This one is a high-dollar book, not because normal people care about Satana. I mean, I do, and you do probably for watching this, but this one is important because it's the first appearance of Rocket Raccoon. So, let's find that bit. And I actually have 2 copies of this because I like this magazine. I like the cover so much that I bought it twice back in the late 70s, early 80s when no one cared about it. Okay, so what is this here? Story, Bill Mantlo, Keith Giffen. The artwork's good, but a little amateurish. I mean, it's better than I can do, but it's a little bit. Let's see, let's find the panel where Rocket Raccoon first appears. He's in here. We just got to be patient. The panels are very busy. Oh, there he is, man. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? The first appearance of Rocket Raccoon, which makes this like, what, a 200? What is it? $250 book, possibly? I don't know. In this condition, probably. I don't know. Here's another one. Issue number 7. I want to go through these boxes so I can put them back where they belong. This is, it says, the first and greatest superhero of all time, Man God. It's based on the blockbusting novel Gladiator by Philip Wiley. The deal is that Siegel and Schuster, the teenagers that created Superman, Philip Wiley's Gladiator, was supposed to have been one of their inspirations. So therefore, they're not saying it outright, but they're implying, being the first superhero, you know, that this is where Superman came from. And it is partly true. But anyway, it's the story of Gladiator. You know, the Green Lantern stories, they came from E.E. Doc Smith's pulp stories about the Lensmen, which were intergalactic policemen. That's where the Green Lantern, well, the modern Green Lantern, the Green Lantern Corps came from. I mean, the Green Lantern from the Golden Age of comics, or also known as the Roosevelt Age of comics, well, that character was more based on magic, and the Arabian Nights kind of lantern is what he had, you know, magic lantern, as opposed to a space age lantern. That is Marvel Preview number 9. Number 14 is early Star-Lord. And yeah, that's the same Star-Lord that is in the movies, but he's gone through some changes. Bob Wakelin. I do not remember this artist, Bob Wakelin, but his art's intriguing. It's got a little bit of Richard Corbin to it, a little bit of airbrush technique. And here's the Star-Lord story, and this is, oh my gosh. This 2-page spread of space battles. Speaking of Star-Lord and all that, I was just reading that James Gunn just was talking last night, chatting with a bunch of people, talking about the timeline for the DC movies. Now that he's in charge of all the DC movies, and he says the first thing that's coming out is the Creature Commandos cartoon. And then people wanted to know, when is the second season of Peacemaker? And he says he has half the episodes written already. The sun is changing position. I'm using kind of the sun as my Here's number 15. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? Star-Lord. And here's Masters of Terror, Marvel preview number 16. Yes, indeed. This is, I wouldn't be surprised if this is all reprints by this point. Oh, look, you got a, how about that? Oh, there's a Lilith story. Lilith, the daughter of Dracula. Nice artwork, I have to say. Look, they're thirsty for blood. Wow. Here she is changing from a bat and in a fight scene. Art Gene Colan and Tony DeZuniga doing the inking. Okay, Stan Lee knew that those darn hippies were making money with underground comics, so he got a bunch of underground comics artists and hired them to do a magazine distributed to actual real newsstands, not head shops, and he called it, making sure the cover is okay to show. This is Comics Book number 1. The X indicated that it was underground comics, and I gotta kind of look at each page before I show it. This is Skip Williamson art. He was a big underground artist. I love Skip Williamson. And well, let's see. That looks okay. I mean, I just got to preview each page, you know, because this didn't go as far as some of the underground comics. There's a, underground. It's Flip the Bird. You know, I just now caught that. You know, when I first read this, Flip the Bird, it went right over my head. It's great stuff. More Skip Williamson, Super Sammy Smoot battles to the death with the, it's fun stuff. Talking about I had a Luger squirt gun when I was a kid. I wonder what happened to it. I remember it broke, but my brother fixed it. It was a red Luger squirt gun. Man, I need to look on eBay and get another one. My brother knew how to fix plastic toys that were broken. He says, here, and he'd flip his cigarette lighter. He'd meld, especially could do that with rubber, those little jiggly rubber things. He says, where King Kong's arm came off, here, I'll just melt it back on. Yeah, those things like that I miss about my brother Steve. More Super Sammy Smoot. I think this went for about 3-4 issues. I gotta be double. Oh, and they reprinted old Basil Wolverton, because he was a big influence on the underground comics artist. All of that era was, especially the EC stuff. Yeah, some things just, you understand them now. Ace Hole, Midget Detective. I'm not sure if I probably caught what that was. And then they have Panthea, the Jungle Girl, which you cannot show. And this shows how Stan Lee, brought the underground comics artist in and convinced them with money to do this project. All this stuff used to be very inexpensive. I don't know what it costs to buy these magazines now. I couldn't tell you, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I should... It's kind of like I'm what do you call it, a sundial? I think I should move this ladder. You guys are on a ladder. I need to move where I'm sitting because the sun has changed position. Since I'm using, yikes, since I'm using the sun as a light, maybe, let's see how this works. Never, okay, that's better, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, fantastic. So we were looking at comics book. Okay. Here's comics book number 2. What are the highlights of this issue? That'll be $1, hippie. Yeah, the magazine was $1. They don't have anything on here that indicates it's for adult audiences, but there's also nothing that indicates it is a Marvel magazine. It says Curtis. Curtis is a company that I think was, I read somewhere Curtis was a CIA friend. I don't know. But anyway, Curtis bought out Marvel in the mid-70s, and so you see the Curtis name on the front of all these magazines. What do we got here? Oh, it's about the Fleischer brothers, you know, and all about their story. That's, yeah. Interesting. I need to reread this. What are you doing down there, Drew? Oh. She's chewing on the sticks of the Joe Riley put together for the Donny Osmond puppet for the Hypnotic Eye. I freed him from his strings a couple episodes back. Lots of good stuff in here. Super Sammy Smoot. Got Kim Deitch, Kelly Frias, Dennis Kitchen, Mike Klug's in here, Trina Robbins, a lot of people. And, whoa, I don't have issue 3. That may be the one I don't have. I remember about 10 years ago, they put out a book, a big, thick book that reprinted a lot of these, but not every single story. But I had most of them. I just was missing issue 3, so I would be buying that book just to get a few new stories, but maybe I should have. I don't know. Can't buy everything. They never had R. Crumb or, you know, in this. He would have never worked for Marvel. He was too big to have done that anyway. Oh, I see. Trina Robbins does this this Panthea. She's like a Panther girl, but I don't know if I can really show her much. Of course, Trina Robbins is the one that designed Vampirella's costume. All right. And number 5 was the farewell issue. It only lasted 5 issues. I guess it didn't sell well. I don't know. I never saw it on newsstands, but then, you know, it wouldn't have been in the 7-Elevens or the Stop and Goes that I patronized. And I really don't think the AFIs or whatever it was that ran the Armed Services PXs would have stocked this magazine on the newsstands, which is, of course, where I got a lot of my comics. And it doesn't really matter. When did this thing come out? My mom would have never let me buy it anyway. This is, what's the year? It says first printing, July 1976. I wonder if there was a second printing. July of 76. Okay, that's right about, that's the end of my 5th grade year. Yeah. That was quite a bit. That was a good almost 10 years from the underground comics started in San Francisco. What, about 1967? And that's a little bit. Now, the first really attempt that Marvel kind of to do an underground kind of comic was the Howard the Duck color comic. That was kind of a little bit different enough that it was, but the color comic went under, and they started this magazine. Now, the main problem with the magazine, I think, was the logo was ugly. I would have had a better logo, personally. I would have had a logo that looked more like something off of a Golden Age comic. But, ooh, my gosh. Stuff I can't show you. Well, Howard the Duck had a human companion in the color comic, and they shared an apartment. Well, in this comic, you see, well, they're boyfriend, girlfriend, and it shows them, anyway, it's basically the same creative team, you know. Let's see, it's got to be Steve Gerber writing the stories, right? Or is it? So, you know, I love the Howard the Duck comic books, so I moved right along into this. No, the script is by Bill Mantlo. Art is Mike Golden and Klaus Janson. And, you know, Howard the Duck would become a joke later when George Lucas's production team made a Howard the Duck movie that was not what people expected. Hold on, I'm looking to see if that's something here. Howard the Duck. Interesting. Trying to see something here. Yeah. That's what I suspected. Look. Okay. Howard the Duck, the color comic, around 1976, 77, Disney sued and said he's too close to Donald Duck. And so they decided, well, we'll put pants on on Howard the Duck, and then he won't look as much like, we'll put pants on Howard the Duck, and he won't look as much like Howard the Duck, and that's how they settled that lawsuit. So in the comics, they had a storyline where some evil agency of decency that wanted to make everything clean forced Howard the Duck to put on, I mean, I think they all had smiley face helmets. They forced Howard the Duck to put pants on. He had pants on for the remainder of the color comics run. But in this black and white magazine, somehow he's able to take the pants. He doesn't have the pants on. Here's some article referring to that. Also, putting the pants on Howard. Well, I don't know, man. Nice artwork, man. I forgot how good the artwork was in this. Anyway, I haven't looked at these. Gene Colan does the pencils. I haven't looked at these comics in decades, some of them. These Howard the Ducks, I haven't flipped through them in a long, long time. These Howard the Ducks were all books I bought off the newsstand. Here's issue 3 with a Jack Davis cover. See, Jack Davis has the pants on him. There's a Christmas. No one shows this book when they do the Christmas shows, and they show all their Christmas covers. It's got Santa Claus firing a machine gun. These were a lot better than I remember. There's one that's amazing, though. One that's amazing, and I think it's not the next one. It might. Okay. We're up to Howard the Duck number 4. Now, there's probably going to be people speculating on... They have a centerfold. There's going to be people speculating on Howard the Duck, probably. Oh, you know, I think there's an animated Howard the Duck on the Disney, what is it, the Disney Channel, Disney Plus, Disney Central, I don't know what it's called, the streaming Disney Channel. They have a second season of that horribly animated What If cartoon, and I think there's one dedicated to Howard the Duck. Never liked this cover. It was horrible because it's something that the art teachers used to make us do, where we cut out little scraps of paper and glue them together and make things, and I thought that's not the way comic book covers should look. Luckily, the artwork inside is perfectly wonderful. It just, the cover was inferior. Yeah, this is good stuff. Good stuff. Dracula appears in that one, obviously. The next issue is the one, if you only get one, you need to get this one, number 6. And look, they're acknowledging that it's a Marvel magazine. When did they start doing that? They did it on the last one. They started doing that on issue 4, is acknowledging, and that's the first time they did it on any of these Marvel magazines, putting the Spider-Man head and letting you know that, hey, this ties in with everything else. It's a beautiful cover. And the cool thing about this is he goes back to his home world, and you get to see what it's like on Duck World, the alternate Earth, where, and I just remember the story being great. Now, this is me in 6th grade telling you this, but I've never really changed. My 6th grade self and me, if my 6th grade self was sitting here and I was having a conversation with myself in 6th grade or myself in 4th grade, we would perfectly understand each other, because what I like now is what I liked then. And stuff that I didn't know about yet, music that I'd never heard yet, if I had played that for my 6th grade self, I would have liked it. I am very consistent. I don't know. Some people may say that's not a good thing. See, he's in his home world and he has money in his pocket from Earth. And so they're like, "What? Why do you have a human on your dollar bill?" And it's, I remember it being a lot of fun. Issue 6. Here's issue 7 with the Man-Thing. How much time we got? We're only up to 48 minutes, seriously. Oh, this is starting to look like those Planet of the Apes books. This is, yeah, nice artwork. Okay. It is, I am liking this artwork. Pencils, Gene Colan, inks, Dave Simons. So Dave Simons is inking over Gene Colan's pencils, Gene Colan being one of the greats. Issue 8 is a Batman and Robin. I have forgotten about this. Oh. They seem to have revolving artists in each issue. It's Duck Detective Comics. Yeah, cool. And this might be the last issue, number 9. It must be the last issue because it's the last one I have. And oh, they said that right about now it would start to get cloudy, and it is starting to get cloudy. They said it might snow again for an hour tonight, but it won't be of any consequence. It won't really be anything. Work will be back on tomorrow. But we have 4 Donald Trump events this weekend to look forward to. So excitement awaits. Let's see. That's really my Super Bowl. You guys, you normal people like to watch the Super Bowl. I like to watch Donald Trump rallies. What I really loved was when Donald Trump would debate the other candidates in the first election, but, you know, That's not happening this time. But maybe he'll debate whoever's running against him, which I doubt will be Biden. They say that Clinton's in Mexico right now meeting with Newsom, Bill Clinton. And you think, well, Bill Clinton's hiding out because all that stuff's coming out about him on the island, but he's down there talking to Newsom. And so Newsom will probably step in after they say, oh, I just can't run. I'm just too tired. Okay, this isn't Marvel, but it's cool. It's Wonder Warthog, 1960s. This is Gilbert Shelton out of Austin, who was one of the first underground people. The rest of the stuff in this box is not Marvel stuff. Oh, here's some more issues. Here's another issue of that Nostalgia Illustrated I showed you about 4 episodes ago. This is a Marvel magazine, actually. This is 1970s Nostalgia magazine, but it's nostalgia for all the decades before the 1970s. The 50s, the 40s, you know, Betty Grable had her legs insured for $1 million. She was the big pinup that all the GIs had on, you know, their barracks in World War II. Early days of John F. Kennedy as a young guy. I wonder what Vivek Ramaswamy's future will be. He really impresses me. Yeah, and see here, they're talking about the Flash Gordon book that I showed you just a few days ago. That's a book you should get because, you know, there's big coffee table books coming out about the MGM movies. It was a time that people were nostalgic for the past. This is a magazine like that today, Retro Fan, that you can get now that comes out. That Nostalgia Illustrated, except this is a little bit more aimed at, specifically aimed at monster people and people into comic books. But man, I had this pulled for me every time it came out at the comic store, my local comic store back where I used to live, but I don't live there anymore. Here's a 1950, well, December 1961. Boy, that's some big hair. Modern Teen. Man, it looks like he has lipstick on there. Of course, Elvis Presley, why are you showing rock and roll stuff on a comic book channel? Because this isn't a comic book channel. This is about pop culture. Ooh, the smell of this magazine is quite wonderful. All kinds of stuff. Frankie Avalon, all the teen idols are in this magazine. And Elvis Presley, of course, ties in with comic books because he got his look from Captain Marvel Jr., right? You remember 16 magazine? Beatles and Elvis. What really happened at their secret meeting? Probably the same thing that's happening with Clinton and Newsom, huh? They say that Obama met with Biden and was screaming at him. It's like, I don't know who reported that, but boy, there's a lot to read on the cover of this issue of Teen Screen. Look at this. How about that? It's the Beatles, ladies and gentlemen. Beatlemania. I got tons of nostalgic stuff. I don't know how many people actually care. Not as... Let me take this. We're at 54. Oh, I could show you part of another box. Yeah, we're losing the sun, ladies and gentlemen. Look out there, man. Look at it, I tell you. The sun is waning. Okay. Let me set you down. Okay. Let's take this box back in the other room. you guys doing way up there, man? Who are you barking at, Drew the dog? Man. Stay, I tell you. Is the sky that blue out there? Yeah, look at that beautiful blue sky out there, man. What? Okay. Okay, so Marvel also didn't just imitate James Warren's comic book magazines. You guys fell right over. You should be ashamed of yourselves. They didn't just put out imitations of Creepy, Eerie, and Vampirella and put out 12, 15 magazines to James Warren's 3 and to completely wipe him off the sales, the newsstands. They also put out a version of Famous Monsters of Filmland, and this is a well-done magazine. This is my childhood copy. It's very well read, as you can tell. This was still the time I think I had to get monster magazines approved by my mother. I had to run them by her approval. They're in the PX, and it's like, is this one okay I can buy? And this one met her criteria, I guess. You know, King Kong threatening the girl there wasn't that. And look, he's got blood all over his fangs and his claws, which implies he's been munching down on maybe a few of the citizens of Skull Island before he came along to her. And they have some of the little jokey things, but here's an article on Bigfoot. Oh, I forgot, that's another fad of the 70s, is the big Bigfoot craze. To the point where he even became Bigfoot even appeared on the $6 Million Man. Incredible. Oh, I forgot they would have a comic strip in here too. But Warren would do that, well, especially in Monster World magazine. That was another magazine Warren put out. They would have comics in that. This is Roy Thomas with Barry Smith as the artist. So same team that started Conan the Barbarian, did The Demon That Devoured Hollywood. Actually, the lighting's pretty good like this. Just a little bit of clouds obscuring the sun, beautiful blue sky out there, the snow. Maybe I should have it go down. Oh, scheisse. I better not mess with this too much. Whoa. So, hopefully you guys will tune in tonight at 7. If you're watching this and it's between 7 and 9:30 on Wednesday the 10th, stop watching, come back to this later. And, oh, and when I'm on, I need 2 subscribers, and I'll be up to the big 666. And I think what I'll do when I get to 666 subscribers, I hate people into that Satan crap, but I'm going to probably do a parody of people into all that stuff. It'll be, oh, shoot. We'll do a good show. Maybe we'll get there by the weekend. Maybe that'll be something to look forward to this weekend. We'll do a huge, funny, maybe I'll sing a few Black Sabbath songs for you. But, I don't know. I just need 2 more subscribers. Maybe I'll mention it on 4 Color Fossils, because there's people that watch that show that I don't think ever tune into this show. Maybe it's because I'm so ornery on this channel. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, that's... What are they doing here? Who are they interviewing here? Put for his movie. What? Okay, so this guy wrote a book called the Kolchak Papers. Okay, and his name is Jeff Rice. And I guess his book was adapted into a movie for television, which was the biggest. Yeah, so I thought Kolchak came from the brain of Richard Matheson. And I guess this is the real creator of the Kolchak character for the movie The Night Stalker. Anyway, this was a great TV series that was on the air around this time, and forgot about that. And then big interview with him, and then this movie, this Frankenstein. That was a movie called Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell from Hammer, and that's David Prowse that would later play the physical form of Darth Vader, and his voice was dubbed over. But this was from, they're showing the two Hammer movies that were out, Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell and Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter. That movie was a lot of fun. And if Hammer had kept going, they would have done a Vampirella movie not long after that. Here's Dave Cockrum doing an illustration of King Kong. I looked at that illustration a lot as a kid. And I would see all these pictures of King Kong, but I wouldn't see King Kong until